After his parents died when he was 5, Yu had lived with relatives until his uncle, who lived alone, took him in. He told Yu to live as he likes but never go to the storehouse. However, his uncle falls ill and gets hospitalized, and Yu is left at the hospital by his relatives. Yu goes home to get some things for his uncle's stay at the hospital. After gathering all the important things, he looks for his health card, but doesn't find it anywhere in the main building. He then heads towards the storehouse and finds a secret staircase inside. He goes down the stairs and finds piles of books, strange patterns and formulas scribbled on the walls, and a pungent smell in the place. Just then, a woman appears in front of him with long hair, hoofs, and horns. She greets him and asks what he wishes, and is startled that Yu didn't scream out of fear like all of the other people she has encountered. He then asks her if she is an angel, which surprises her more, and he says that no one has ever asked him what he wants, and so he thought she is an angel sent by God. She tells him that she is the black sheep of the woods, and she can be a goddess and a demon at times, and she will grant his wishes in exchange for what he treasures the most. He then asks her to be his family by becoming his older sister, and she asks him what it really means. He then tells her that he wants her to be with him all the time, and she asks him his name, later introducing herself as Chiyo before kissing him. She then fights off the beast accidentally summoned by Yu. The next day, Yu wakes up in his bed with Chiyo by his side, and asks her if she is the demon who saved his life, while she tells him to rest. Yu thinks he had a weird dream in which he saw Chiyo as an angel until she shows him her tentacle-like hair transforming into normal hair, and he realizes that it wasn't a dream and she is a demon. He asks her if she will really be his older sister, and she says that she will fulfill the contract they made, later showing him her body and skin and asking if she looks like a human. Yu is stunned by her beauty and perfection and stares at her, but she takes his hand and puts it on her chest, asking if her heart is beating properly. Overwhelmed by the idea of touching her breasts, Yu collapses. She then decides to make a meal for him, but is unaware of how human society works, and he decides to cook with her. The two then sit at the table and have the meal together, and Yu is happy, thinking that real siblings must also cook meals and eat them together. Suddenly, he loses consciousness and Chiyo takes him in her arms, telling him to rest and recover, and he falls asleep in her lap. She says to him that there are so many things she doesn't know and she will learn them one by one. But the one thing she now understands is that his sister is cherished and loved by her little brother and wishes him good night. Yu, however, is overwhelmed by the new emotions he is feeling. Yu goes to see his uncle in the hospital and the doctors tell him of his condition, and he realizes that he will be fine and home in some time, wondering how he would explain Chiyo to him. He then sees some flowers on the side and decides to pluck some, but ends up falling into the paddy field. He returns home covered in water and mud, and Chiyo assumes that he was attacked by a slime creature or alien and transforms into her demon self to go and fight them, but he tells her that he only fell into the field and nothing attacked him. She then pats his head and tells him to be careful as humans die very easily. Later, he shows her how to use a hose and she swings it around in excitement, getting herself and Yu wet. She then removes his clothes and says that she will give his body a deep cleaning, later using her tentacles to help him wash, and he shivers as if some current is flowing through him and begins to lose consciousness. Just then, she notices something in his pocket and he pulls out a small blue flower, saying that he saw these blooming near a rice field and decides to bring one for her because he thought they would suit her. And she happily accepts it, saying that no one has ever done something like this for her before. Yu then looks at her beautiful face and is mesmerized by her beauty, even though he knows that things like this cannot happen between real siblings. He is unable to restrain himself from Chiyo because of her endless beauty and tender lips, and the two are about to kiss when they are startled by the water hose. Chiyo then tells Yu to go and warm himself up in the bath as he will catch a cold if he stays wet for too long. As he leaves, she happily looks at the flower he gave her. Yu wakes up from a weird dream in the middle of the night and decides to have some barley tea after finding his throat dry. He finds Chiyo sitting in a room and reading a book, and she tells him that she cannot sleep as she has not yet grabbed the rhythm of the human body. He notices a pile of books near her, realizing that she has not been sleeping at all, and asks her if she would like to go out for a walk, saying that moving her body might help her sleep, and she agrees. The two walk nearby the house and Chiyo finds it like an adventure as she has never been away from home before. Yu then spots a ghost in the distance and tells Chiyo to take the other road. She asks him if he can see them and he realizes that she can see them too. He then tells her that he used to follow the ghosts with his eyes and talk to them, and other humans around him might have thought of him as weird, and so they avoided him. And Chiyo says that he is kind so he can see more than ordinary people, to which he says he didn't want to be despised by people and ghosts. But Chiyo tells him that he is kind to everyone regardless of who or what they are. She then tells him that when she was called a goddess or demon, she never wanted to learn about either, but being his older sister makes her want to learn about everything. She then dances with him and trips over a cliff, and Yu jumps after her and she catches him. She is happy that he called her One-chan for the first time, and asks him to do it again, later telling him that they should have some warm milk after going back home and then get into bed together. He then tells her that he will introduce her to his uncle once he wakes up. Yu comes to Chio while she's watching TV, and she tells him that the news reporter had also appeared earlier, and Yu is happy that she is now able to differentiate between people. He then gives her some barley tea. She asks her why he is not at school as people his age should be going to school, and he tells her that they are in the middle of a long break called summer vacation, and she realizes that she still has to learn and remember a lot. She then sees a show on the TV and tells Yu that she wants to clean his ears, and he hesitates, saying that he has no cotton swabs, but she pulls out her wrigglers, saying that they will make him clean. Unable to refuse, he puts his head on her lap and she puts her hair inside his ear. She tells him to lay still and gently cleans his ear, and he thinks how unexpected all this is, calling it blissful. She then uses her feelers to go deeper into his ear, and he realizes that she is stroking the inside of his body. She asks him which one is more sensual for him, but he is too overwhelmed to answer, and she finds his bewitched face very cute. Yu shivers while Chio puts her feelers deep inside his head and cleans him before blowing at his ear at the end, and he screams, and she begins to clean the opposite ear. Suddenly, she sees a transmission about the ocean on TV, and tells you that she wants to see it with her own eyes as it is a beautiful world, and he asks her if she would like to go see it. Yu hangs too many washed clothes outside after the forecast said that it won't rain that day. However, it starts to rain heavily and he and Chio rush outside. Yu thinks he won't be able to save the clothes from getting dirty again, but Chio uses her tentacles to carry all the clothes at once. The rain doesn't stop and Chio decides to hang the clothes in the hallway. Lightning strikes just then and Yu freaks out, later telling Chio that maybe Raijin is coming. After finding out that Raijin is a god that is making Yu scared, she decides to go and confront him, but Yu stops her. He then tells her that Raijin is a god from a folklore who has horns and wears a tiger underwear, and is said to take away one's belly button if he sleeps with his belly uncovered, saying that he is not sure if he is real or not. She then starts to tease him by turning herself into Raijin. She asks him what is the thing that scares him the most, and he tells her that although he is troubled by lightning too, he is most scared of dogs, and Chio starts laughing at him and says that he is too cute. He then asks her if she is scared of something just before freaking out because of thunder, and she hides him under her skirt. Being too close to her panties tempts him to sniff her and he realizes that he has reached his limit. He then comes out and she tells him that after hearing about Raijin, she has realized that gods like him do not care about humans, telling Yu that he doesn't have to be scared of anything as she is always here to protect him. Later, Yu tells her that as he just remembered the thing he is truly scared of, and that is not having a family anymore. She embraces him and the two quietly watch the rain pour, and he wonders what Chio was thinking all that time. Yu thinks about how he was always left out by every family he lived with and considered a burden, which is why he hated the kitchen. Chio calls him to the kitchen and asks him to look at the pot of salmon noodles. He notices blood on her finger and tells her that she is bleeding before rushing to find bandages, and she says that she might have cut it accidentally. Later, he tells her that it is said that wounds heal faster if spit is put on them, and she asks him to do it. He takes her finger in his mouth, which makes her shy. She thanks him for healing her injury and the two then eat the food that Chio prepared. While watching Chio eat, Yu accidentally bites his mouth and blood starts dripping and Chio says that if it doesn't get treated, it might turn into a mouth ulcer. She then tells him to open his mouth and sit still and she puts her fingers inside his mouth, piercing his wound. She then puts her finger exactly where it is hurting him and tells him to breathe slowly with his eyes closed. She then pulls her hand out and tells him that the place that got injured will heal immediately when he opens his eyes. And he realizes that it doesn't hurt anymore, and she says that her magic is quite effective. She then kisses him, saying that he taught him the magic of healing the wounds by spitting on them, later saying that his blood has a nice taste. While she washes the dishes and tells him about what she is planning for tomorrow's meal, he thinks that he can tell when Chio is joking and when she's being serious, and asks her about her injured fingers, later realizing that everything she says are actually her true feelings. Yu packs some things for his uncle and leaves to see him at the hospital, telling Chio that he will be stopping at the library for some time, and she tells him to take care as it's hot outside. While he is gone, Chio dries all the clothes as the weather is nice, later also drying the guest futons before dusting and cleaning the house. She notices a cooking show airing on the TV, and lets her tentacles do all the work while she watches how to prepare a sasyuk, later realizing that the recipe is very simple and she can make it too. After vacuuming the house, she goes to the kitchen and decides to make a sasyuk. However, she doesn't cut the cucumbers right and tries again and again. Later, she gathers dried towels and puts them in their place before finding Yu's clothes from the day before in the room and sniffs his shirt, and finds out that it has the scent of sunlight, soap, and Yu. She cherishes her time at home, saying that dried laundry, futons, and a person's scent seems lovely because of the little brother's power. Later, when Yu returns home, she finds her sleeping and puts a blanket over her. She wakes up by evening and freaks out, saying that she has not collected the dried laundry nor she has cooked anything to eat. And all she has right now is a mountain of asazuk, and it's already 7 p.m. and Yu suggests that they eat salmon again while he has already finished collecting the laundry. Yu takes Chiyo to the library to borrow some books, and she eagerly starts reading a book called Local Creatures Encyclopedia and gets excited while learning about different animals and insects. She is fascinated by all the different shapes and various species of creatures. Yu watches her read the book, thinking that she is the person who loves to read, and she has read all the books in the house, including picture books, academic texts, and comics. Yu is happy to find someone who likes reading like him. Chiyo recognizes the dragonfly and tells Yu that it came in yesterday, wondering why she has not seen the autumn darter yet, and Yu tells her that they can find one of them recorded in their garden. The two go out to look at the different creatures there, and Chiyo finds many new creatures, while Yu teaches her how to be gentle with the tiny animals. Chiyo then reads about the Japanese 5-lined skink, which has a blue tail and lives in damp places, and runs towards the corner of the house to find one. She gets stuck in a large spider's web, and Yu thinks that a Joro spider might have built its nest there, later helping Chiyo take the web off her. She says that she still feels something is on her because of the sensitive touch the human body has, and Yu laughs at her. She sees a tiny bug sitting on Yu's neck and takes it off, and he tells her that it is a mosquito. After realizing that it sucked his blood, she burns it in her hands. Later, Yu lights a coil, and Chiyo asks what kind of spell is it that will keep the mosquitoes away. And he tells her that mosquitoes hate parts of flowers used in some materials, and she thinks it works as a talisman sign. She then asks what happens if they cross the barrier, and Yu looks at her in confusion. Chiyo tries to cook eggs in the microwave and ends up making a huge mess. She apologizes to him, saying that she is not good enough to be his older sister, but he tells her that he doesn't mind, and if they clean up the kitchen together, they can clean it on time, and wipes the chocolate off her face. She then cleans up all the mess, saying that she should not try to make sweets out of flour as she is not a cooking expert yet. But Yu consoles her by saying that she has now learned from her mistake and he knows she'll do better next time, while helping her pick up the broken pieces. She thanks him for his kindness despite her ruining their afternoon snack, and he suggests that they have some tea with her favorite cheesakaki that he brought. Later, a strange animal destroys all the cheesakaki, which makes Chiyo furious, and she goes to find the creature. They go to the storehouse, searching for the animal, and Yu suggests it was a rat. However, Chiyo tells him that she doesn't mind anymore, but he says that rats multiply really fast and they will chew up everything if not taken care of. The two then enter the storehouse and go down the cellar, where Yu met Chiyo for the first time, and she puts her hands on his eyes, asking him to promise not to hate her after he sees the room. He remembers the time when she saved him from the beast when they first met, and says that he has no reason to hate her. He opens his eyes and finds the room a mess, and she tells him that she didn't know she needed to clean it if it got cluttered, and he offers to help her clean it up with her before his uncle comes back. He then leaves to check the backyard for mice, and she stays to check the basement, later killing all of the hideous familiar downstairs that use black magic, saying that Yu is so kind even after she is unable to be an ideal older sister. Later, she cleans Yu's hair, and he tells her that he didn't find the rat and it might have run away, saying that it would be great if it had gone to the mountains as there is a lot of food for animals there. Later, she cries about the afternoon snack, and he says that if they do it together, it will be done in no time. Yu and Chiyo harvest a portion of vegetables from his uncle's kitchen garden, and he watches her as she checks the tomatoes and tells him that they'll be ready to eat by the next day, distracted by her body. He trips on the water hose and falls, and she comes to help him up, and he shuts his eyes after seeing her breasts. Chiyo finds a watermelon in the garden and she gets excited, and Yu tells her to split it up. Suddenly, she appears in a swimsuit with a stick in hand, and says that they have to commence the ritual of cutting open a watermelon that she had seen on TV, in which the people blindfold themselves and hit the watermelon with sticks. Yu freaks out after seeing her in a swimsuit and tells her to wear another piece of clothing, also telling her that what she saw on TV was just a game and they can also cut the watermelon normally and eat it. She then puts a blindfold on Yu and guides him to strike the watermelon with the stick, and he feels as if he is being bewitched. He strikes the watermelon as Chiyo guides him and manages to crack it, but it still doesn't split. She then decides to do it herself, but the blindfold is thin and she can see the watermelon. Yu tells her to distract her mind, but it doesn't work either. The more she tries to avoid thinking about the watermelon, the more she thinks of it. Just then, the watermelon bursts, and a whole plant of watermelons comes out of it. Later, the two eat the watermelons and enjoy themselves together, and Yu says that they don't have to worry about afternoon snacks for a while as they have a lot of watermelons. Yu goes to see his uncle at the hospital and sees a pretty sunflower placed at the side tables, and he wonders who might have brought it. He sees his uncle and is about to leave when he calls him back and tells him to convey the letter. Yu gets home and tries to find the letter his uncle was talking about, thinking that he just has to bring a letter to him. He finds many letters, mostly from overseas, and decides to take all of them to him, later finding the insurance card among the letters. He happily tells Chiyo that he found the card as it was important for paying the expenses. However, he finds an old photograph in the card's envelope, and Chiyo asks if the boy in the picture is his uncle, while the faces of the other two people in the picture have been torn. Yu tells her that his uncle is his father's younger brother, and it's not surprising that he resembled Yu when he was younger. But the two wonder who the other two people are. Chiyo then asks Yu if he has any photos of himself as a child, and he shows her a picture of himself with his parents, and she asks him what kind of people his parents were. He tells her that although his memories of them are vague because he lived with them only until 5 years of age, he remembers that his father was an energetic person while her mother was carefree and kind, and they always put him first, and Chiyo says that he had a wonderful family. Later that night, Yu is unable to sleep and Chiyo suddenly comes to him, saying that she cannot sleep too. She then sings him a lullaby, which he finds nostalgic, and he falls asleep. He tears up in his sleep, dreaming about his parents, and she pulls him closer, promising to do her best to become a part of his family. Chiyo gets ready and wears a cute dress to go shopping with Yu, and asks him if she will look weird to other people, and he tells her to keep her tail and horns hidden and make sure that her hair doesn't change into feelers. She keeps asking if her hair is okay or her sandals look old-fashioned, saying that she doesn't feel at ease, as she is going shopping with him as his older sister and doesn't want people to find her disgraceful, but he tells her that she always looks beautiful. Yu buys popsicles and sugar from a shop, and the old lady asks him who the beautiful woman is, and he tells her that she is his older sister, and the old lady says that it is a nice way for siblings to bond with each other by going out together. The two eat the popsicles before playing in the park for some time before it starts to rain, and they take shelter at a temple. Chiyo says that the god of the temple shouldn't mind if she takes some shelter from the rain there. Yu asks her if God really exists, and she says that she has no idea, saying that there are countless beings who are more powerful than humans and they may refer to them as gods, but those beings also have things they can or can't do. He then asks her what she cannot do, and she says she cannot bring someone back from the dead or things like that. The rain then stops and the two pray at the temple before heading back home. Chiyo asks Yu what he wished for, telling him that she wished for living happily with him, but he refuses to tell what he wished and lies that it is secret. Chiyo is happy about the weather and asks if he wants to read books on the cold floor after they have finished the chores, later wondering to herself what she will make for dinner. While walking home with her, Yu tears up, thinking that walking home while holding her hand is all he has wanted. She asks him if he is hurt or something, and he tells her that he has always imagined going home with her since he met her, and she takes him to stroll around for a while before the sun sets completely. The two then walk home together while holding hands. Yu is busy with his studies when Chiyo comes to him and asks if he has to study like that, and he tells her that he has been skipping studying because it is hot during the day, and so he thought of getting some work done when the weather is a bit cooler. She then asks him for how long he needs to study, and he tells her that he will focus until 10 o'clock, which is 3 hours, and Chiyo decides to study with him. He notices that she can now hold a pencil, and she tells him that she is still not able to write. He suggests that she starts with lines by drawing shapes and makes herself familiar with them. She does as told and feels proud of herself, later drawing pictures of marine animals from a book, saying that she will later ask Yu to look at them. However, the drawings suddenly disappear and the animals she drew start to appear in real life. She panics and goes after the animals to capture them. Meanwhile, Yu is studying when he notices that it is 9:30 already, telling Chiyo that he managed to focus properly as they were studying together, but he looks around and doesn't find her in the room. He looks out the window and finds some animals tied up. Chiyo later explains to him what happened, and he decides to take a break from studies and have some dessert with her, and she gets really excited. One of the creatures peeks at them through the window while they are choosing the flavor of yogurt to eat. Yu reads a shopping list written by Chiyo and tells her that she has improved a lot while the two go to buy some groceries. As they are walking, Chiyo's umbrella gets blown away and she runs after it. Her underpants get exposed because of the air, and Yu is flustered by the sight of her panties. She then finds a differently shaped leaf on the ground and calls Yu to look at it, saying that the others have 3 leaves while one has 4, and Yu says a 4-leaf clover brings good fortune to the finder. Chiyo gets excited and plucks the clover, saying that she is looking forward to the good fortune coming for her. She then takes Yu's hand and rushes to find the same clover for Yu as well, later realizing that there are no more 4-leaf clovers. Yu then asks if they can quit looking for it for now as they will be late for shopping, saying that they will find a clover for him along the way. Suddenly, a lot of 4-leaf clovers bloom in the area, and Chiyo says that all the world's blessings should belong to him, telling him to take all of the clovers. He takes one of them and thanks her, saying that he will treasure it, and she asks why he took just one, to which he replies that he left the rest for other people so they can find happiness too, as he gets more than enough happiness from her. Yu is looking at all the documents given to him by the hospital management and realizes that he has to do a lot of paperwork. As he walks down the corridor, he notices a girl carrying the same sunflower he saw on his uncle's bedside. But when he turns around to see who is carrying it, there is no one there. Meanwhile, Chiyo is cooking at home to taste what she made, later feeling proud of herself for making the food perfectly and on time. She then turns on the TV while setting the table, and the weather forecast says that there is a chance of strong rain coming into the Kanto region. It suddenly begins to rain, and Chiyo wonders if Yu has an umbrella with him or not. She keeps waiting for Yu to return home, and wonders where Yu is as the food is also getting cold. She then takes her umbrella and leaves to find Yu, wondering which bus stop he gets off at and where he might be right now. Suddenly, her mind gets flooded with thoughts and she realizes that she knows nothing about Yu at all. As she stands there thinking in the rain, Yu appears and asks her what she is doing there and if she came to pick him up. He then tells her that his bus got delayed because of the weather, saying that they should hurry back home as she is soaking wet and might get sick. Just then, she takes him in her arms and hugs him tightly, and he tells her that he is all right now as he feels the warmth of her body, realizing that the temperature of her hands is more like a human's. Yu and Chiyo come back home and she tells him to warm himself up in the bathroom as they are both soaking wet. Yu is in the bath, thinking what he should have talked about with Chiyo on the way back home as her behavior seemed a little different. Suddenly, the power goes out and Chiyo barges into the bathroom in her demonic form, saying that she will take care of everything. But he tells her that it was only a power outage that occurred because of the weather, and the power will be back in some time. Chiyo then takes her clothes off and decides to join him in the bath, but he freaks out and decides to leave. And she stops him, saying that they can use the bath together as he will get cold again. She then tells him that there is no need to be embarrassed as they cannot see in the dark, promising that she will also not look at him. He later helps her wash her hair and she thanks him, while he thinks about how supple and heavy her hair are and how elegant they feel on his palms, and he wonders if he is looking at the most beautiful woman in the world. She then washes him and uses her feelers to completely clean his body, carefully massaging every part of his body, and he feels all his muscles relax. Afterwards, the two wait in the bath for the power to come back. And a firefly comes into the bathroom just as the rain stops, and Chiyo tells Yu that she read about it in the encyclopedia, and she asks why it whittles and shines eagerly for such a short lifespan, as it only lives for 2 weeks after going ashore, and he says that it might be because the firefly wants to be found by someone in its short lifespan. He then thinks that as a goddess, Chiyo also looks at humans as bugs, and she says that it might be true, but now that she has found him, she feels okay and hugs him. Chapter 18. Yu gets some more books for Chiyo that she had asked him for, and he thinks how her passion for reading never fades, and she likes stories involving deities and dragons. He gets on the bus and heads home, wondering which book will Chiyo read first. As he returns home, he is suddenly captured by tentacles. Chiyo appears and hugs him, saying that she is so happy that he came home for her and that he smells like sweat and sunshine. After seeing a bottle of alcohol on the floor, he asks her if she has been drinking, and she refuses, saying that she was just testing the wine to see if it could be used instead of cooking wine, and she took just a little amount. He then tells her to drink some water and calm down as her face seems flushed. But she starts to cry, saying that he is mean and terrible as he doesn't caress her even after knowing that she feels lonely without him, and asks him if he hates her. He apologizes to her and tells her that he doesn't hate her, and she angrily tells him to sit down before scolding him for not taking care of her as she is lonely and worried about him, and takes care of the house while he is away. And she has been wanting to hug and caress a lot, but he never does it. Suddenly, she puts her head in his lap and tells him to caress her head, and he does as told. She then calms down, saying that his hands feel good and she might doze off. She asks her to call her cute and a good girl, and that he likes her. He hesitates to say it, but she falls asleep before even hearing him, and he tells her to have a good night. After finding out what had happened the next day, Chiyo feels embarrassed and cries, saying that she cannot continue to live anymore because of the shameless act she committed, and apologizes to Yu, but he tells her that it was rather amusing. Yu and Chiyo are walking back home when they lose their way and end up in an unknown area. Chiyo apologizes to him, saying that she thought this was a shortcut, but he tells her that they are not on the wrong way, and he will figure out a way to get to the main road. He then hears the sound of water in the distance and realizes that the two are near a river, and tells Chiyo that they can reach somewhere around the back of the house if they walk towards the bridge. However, Chiyo gets into the river and calls Yu to join her too, and he is shocked that she took off her shoes already. As he runs after her while telling her to be careful, he trips and falls over her. His hand gets bruised and Chiyo kisses it to heal his bruises before splashing him with water. The two then play in the river for some time before resting by the riverside, and Chiyo suggests bringing a bento next time. She then looks to her side and sees a lot of sunflowers, and is amazed how they are facing the same direction. And Yu tells her that the sunflowers bloom while facing the sun, and she says that the flowers must love the sun, and he remembers the sunflower he saw in his uncle's room. Chiyo then tells him that even if she strays off and is nowhere to be seen among the flowers or the forest, he must find her and watch over her. She then dashes through the sunflowers while calling out his name, and he runs after her, feeling like he is in some kind of a painting. Suddenly, he feels dizzy and faints. Meanwhile, a girl goes to see Yu's uncle in the hospital. Yu wakes up with a feeling of something tingling on his body and a sweet scent around him, realizing that it is the scent of Chiyo. She takes a sip of water in her mouth and puts her lips against his, putting the water in his mouth. He then wakes up and freaks out after seeing HR all naked, and she tells him that since his condition was not improving and his body temperature was too high, she had to magically suck out all of the heat from his body. But if she did that, she might have stolen all of his body temperature, and so she had to use the other method. She then asks him if he is hurt anywhere or if he is not feeling okay, and he says that he is fine while he puts on his clothes. She then tells him that he is not fine and says that he should not be forcing himself to say that he is okay and should rather tell the truth. And always tell her when he is in pain and when he doesn't like something, because if he doesn't tell her then he would not know anything. Yu is shocked by her words, and she apologizes for the sudden outburst of anger, telling him that although she is happy that he has woken up, she can't stop thinking how she didn't notice him having painful thoughts, and how else she should have handled the situation. She tells him that some unfamiliar feelings are swelling in her chest and she doesn't understand what she should do, and he realizes that he has no words that could make her feel better. He then takes her hand and thanks her for what she did for him while smiling at her kindly. Yu goes to the hospital to get himself checked, and he is told by the doctor that he had a minor heat stroke, and it might make him feel that he has a slower heart rate, but it is not a big issue. He then decides to pay his medical bills and leave as he has already checked on his uncle. He remembers how Chiyo told him to get himself checked by another human and convinced him to go to the hospital, and he realizes that Chiyo is gradually becoming more like a human. He finds an interesting book at the library, which is about demons, and is about to take it when a girl puts her hand on it, and he is startled. He then asks her if they have met before, and she says that she thinks so too. She asks him if he has interest in demons, and he agrees, to which she says that he is a bad boy with a cute face, and asks if he summons demons too, as he is too weak to fight a demon, but he says that there are good demons too. The girl disagrees and says that there is no such thing as a good or bad demon, and they are only good if their interests align with you. She then asks him what relationship he has with the person in room 302, and he tells her that he is his uncle. She then gives the book to him and leaves. He then asks her name, and she tells him that her name is Haru, same as the name of the character in Hidamari. Later, Yu wonders why Haru asked him about his uncle and why she said see you later to him. As he walks back home, he feels ghosts coming up to him and decides to not look at them and head home. A moment later, Haru appears and he sees that she has a long tail covered in scales, beast ears, and long nails dripping pale liquid. He asks her what she is, and she tells him that she is a stray dog who stopped by after sniffing his delicious scent. Just then Chiyo appears and comes towards Haru in her demonic form, saying that she will teach the stray dog a lesson and show her that Yu is a kind boy who hates dogs. Yu hugs Chiyo and she tells him that he doesn't have to be afraid anymore as she is here, while she tortures Haru. He then tells her to let Haru go as she saved his life from ghosts, but Chiyo tells him that she only did it so that her prey does not get snatched by something else, and she will eliminate any beast who can be a nuisance to him. He remembers when he was treated as a nuisance and burden in his childhood, and asks her if she would fulfill his wish, saying that he doesn't want to see his sister treat her like a harmful beast, and begs her to let Haru go. She then turns to Haru and says that she has to keep reminding herself that she was allowed to live by Yu and always remain grateful for it, and threatens her to never harm Yu as the tips of her feelers will always find her. Haru thanks Chiyo for her benevolence and calls her the great goddess, and swears to never lay a finger on her beloved little brother. She then stands up and begins to walk away when Yu tells her that despite her belief that there is no good or evil for demons and gods, his older sister is a very kind person and thanks her for everything. Sometime later, Haru comes to Yu's house and they have some food with her. Later, Chiyo asks her why she came, to which she says that she promised to never lay a finger on Yu but didn't say she would stop coming, and she will leave after getting what she came for. She then asks them to show her a place for a little while. Haru is shocked to see the room in the storehouse all cleaned up, and asks Yu and Chiyo about its condition, and Yu tells her that it was cleaned up by Chiyo. Haru says that they do not know the significance of the room to them, and later says that it is okay and nothing can be done now. Before she leaves, she tells Yu to understand that the more dangerously superior a god is, the more of a fool and ignorant of the world they are. Chiyo then angrily tells Haru to come back upstairs as it is not her home, and she says that it is not Chiyo's home either. Feeling the tension between the two, Yu takes Chiyo out first and notices Haru tearing up while looking at the room. Haru then quickly heads home and leaves Yu and Chiyo wondering why she rushed back so quickly. Just then, Chiyo asks Yu to kiss her, and he hesitates, which makes her think that he is refusing. However, she grabs him and kisses him aggressively, which makes him feel like he is being devoured. She then hugs him after pulling away from the kiss and says that he belongs to her. Meanwhile, Haru goes to the hospital to Yu's uncle, Ri's room. She gets into his bed and kisses him, saying that she belongs to him. Yu finds Chiyo's behavior very strange as she doesn't let him help with any chores and feeds him with her hands, also helping him brush his teeth later despite him telling her that he can do it himself. She later washes him in the bath and changes his clothes. And when he asks her to let him do it, she tells him that he doesn't have to worry about anything as she will do everything for him, and tells him that the new pajamas really suits him. He then confronts her about her behavior and asks her if she is alright, and she says that she might have misunderstood something. He asks her if he has done something wrong, apologizing for anything that she wants him to correct or not do again. And she tells him that he has not done anything wrong and she is the one who should be saying sorry, later thanking him for his concern and telling him that she is totally fine. The two sleep together later that night and she says that being with him is truly the best thing as she lays down beside him. Finding him still concerned about her behavior, she holds his hand and tries to reassure him by telling him that there is nothing to worry about before wishing him good night. And the two fall asleep. Haru shows up at Yu's house again, and Chiyo says that feeding a stray dog was a bad idea and asks Haru why she has come. She tells her that there is nothing in particular and she just wants to use their kitchen, saying that she will be making food for her and Yu as well, but Chiyo says that she won't accept charity and will make her and Yu's food on her own, and Haru challenges her. The two start making cookies together and Haru tries to help her by guiding her, but she refuses to listen and says that she can do it by herself. However, Chiyo's cookies are shapeless while Haru makes perfectly round cookies, and after realizing that she is not as good as Haru, she gets depressed and hides in a closet. Yu goes after her and tries to calm her down, but she tells him that she has no right to be called his older sister as Haru is a better cook and she can be a better older sister to him. But he tells her that he doesn't call her his older sister for the things she can do or does for him, and she is the only older sister for him. She continues to sob and says that although his feelings make her happy, she feels unworthy, and Haru laughs about her stubbornness. She then makes a plan with him to help Chiyo and he does as she says. Yu tries her food and says that it is very delicious, and she tells him that she could have cooked some delicious meals for him every day if she was his older sister, and asks him to try calling her his older sister. Their conversation makes Chiyo jealous and she comes out of the closet, only to find that they tricked her into coming out of the closet. She then embraces Yu and sobs, telling to not call anyone else his older sister. Haru then brings her cookies and makes her taste them, telling her that she has gotten much better at it, and she finds them delicious, saying that the shape doesn't matter as long as they are edible, and now they should spread the ganache on them. Later, Chiyo tells Yu that she doesn't want him to say things like that again even as a joke, and he apologizes, while Haru looks at them and exclaims that such innocent siblings also exist. Haru tells Chiyo and Yu to play and they are annoyed by how lovely she looks, and Chiyo says that she wonders if she will ever stop showing up at their house as if it's normal, and tells Haru that they are under no obligation to hang out with her and she can do whatever she likes. Haru challenges Chiyo to a water gun match, saying that the winner will get to have an afternoon nap with Yu in the same futon. The two girls get dressed in swimsuits and make Yu the judge, and Haru says that the victory will be decided with a death match, which means the match will continue until one of them is defeated by the other. The match begins and the two girls fight each other. Haru uses water guns while Chiyo uses the water hose. During the match, Haru jokingly calls Chiyo older sister, which makes her furious and she starts to use her demonic powers and tells her that only Yu is allowed to call her that. Haru is eventually defeated by Chiyo and she later tells her to get dressed, asking if she will be having lunch with them, and Haru says that she wants hiyashi chuka noodles. The two girls walk inside the house while Yu watches them, thinking that even though they got so violent, nothing was damaged and nobody was hurt. The two girls then tell him to hurry up and come to eat. Haru and Chiyo are in their regular afternoon quarrel when Yu comes to them and asks what the matter is, and Haru tells him that she was just telling Chiyo that she doesn't have to go out shopping alone and try to do the impossible, while Chiyo says that this is not funny. Chiyo then heads out to the market to prove her wrong, saying that she will show them her true power. She leaves the home with a shopping list and tells Yu and Haru to not follow her no matter what happens. However, Haru and Yu still follow her. Yu tells Haru that he is concerned but they should head home as Chiyo will be very angry if she sees them, and Haru tells him that she cannot miss watching what is going to happen. Chiyo goes to a shop and politely asks the lady for some food, and pays the price right too, which shocks Haru, and she says that it is boring that she is dealing with it so normally. The lady then asks Chiyo who she is and whose daughter she is, saying that she has never met anyone as beautiful as her. Haru and Yu panic as Chiyo's hair starts to turn into feelers, but she manages to calm herself and deal with the lady politely. She then turns and tells Yu and Haru to come out of their hiding place, and tells them that they can mock her like always. But Haru says that she is impressed by how she handled her first errand. Yu also tells her that she did a great job and he is proud of her, which makes her very happy. Haru then takes the food out of the bag and starts eating, and the three of them walk back home. Yu cleans up the house and finishes the chores after paying respects to his parents' souls, and Chiyo later tells him to come for breakfast. The two then have breakfast like every day, and Chiyo later reads him a book. Just then, Haru comes to them with a set of fireworks. Chiyo is annoyed to see her first, but they later have fun playing with the fireworks at night. Later, Haru asks Chiyo why she hasn't been too harsh with her like before, and Chiyo tells her that she has noticed a masculine scent on her that is not used, and tells her that she can smell everything. And she also notices the smell of a single sunflower from her, which means love at first sight. Haru then tells her that a person's life is like a sparkler, and it can blow out with the wind if not handled with care. Chiyo then goes to Yu, who is sitting alone with the bucket of sparklers, and Haru leaves. Yu tells Chiyo that there will be a fireworks festival soon. She asks what it would be like, and he tells her that massive fireworks will be launched into the sky at the festival, and Chiyo says that it would be a beautiful sight. He then builds up the courage to ask her to go with him to the festival, and she promises to go with him. Meanwhile, Haru goes to see Ryu at the hospital and takes a sunflower for him and greets him as he opens his eyes. The young Ryu is sitting and studying in his room when Yauko, his cousin, comes to him. She asks him what he is up to and suddenly is about to trip when Ryu saves her from falling, and she thanks him for saving her. He then tells her that she should not be in a dusty place like the room, she will get sick. But she says that she has her inhalers and her body feels better inside, and tells Ryu that if he studies with a light like the lantern he uses, his eyes will get even worse. She then notices his book and asks him what language it is, and he tells her that it is German, which impresses her. He tells her that the books he wants to read are not available in Japanese, and there are still parts he can't figure out even with a dictionary, but she says that she still thinks he is amazing. She then tells him that she also wants to travel the world someday and talk to all sorts of people if she no longer has to take the medicines and visit hospitals, saying that she wants to venture into the world and not just stay at home, at school, or in the hospital, and he tells her that he believes she will do all of it one day. Just then, Ryu's brother comes to see them with a basket of treats, and Ryu tells him it is the basket that their grandma keeps for guests, and she will be mad if she finds out. But his brother says that it's fine. He then gives the two some snacks and Yauko enjoys it. She tells Ryu's brother that Ryu is studying something completely foreign again, and he tells Ryu that he can also go for a senior high school in Tokyo, but Ryu says that he'll be better in his hometown. Just then, some children come and say that it is unfair that they are down there without them, and Ryu's brother tells him that his studying will have to wait as they all have to go upstairs. Ryu's father is furious with Yauko and Ryu's brother, who want to get married, but are cousins. Ryu tries to stop his father, but he says he will never approve of such a thing, and Ryu decides to drive to his university after helping the two escape, and says that he will let them know when his father settles. He tells his brother that he will be fine as long as he keeps himself indulged in reading, and tells his brother to take good care of Yauko. Yauko also apologizes to Ryu and he brushes it off. His brother then tells him to stay strong as he leaves, and he tells him to do the same as well. Ryu walks home with a heavy heart, thinking to himself that he doesn't want anything as long as Yauko happy. Yauko and Ryu's brother get married and she gives birth to his nephew, Yu. After 5 years of Yu's birth, Yauko and her husband die, and Ryu buries them, not believing what just happened, and for a long time he remains depressed over their death. Ryu lives in despair for a long time, while Yu grows up and has eyes just like his mother. Not understanding what to do without Yauko, Ryu decides to summon her back from the dead. However, as he tries to carry out the summoning ritual, he is captured by feelers and dragged towards a hideous demonic monster, and a musical scale like a screeching traverse flute shakes his brain as the thousands of eyes of the beast look at him, sending chills down his body. As he is taken deeper into the pit, he hopes that he can get out of it and calls for help. Just then, he hears a female voice talk to him and sees a demon girl with horns and a scaly tail, who looks exactly like Yauko. He caresses her face in his hand before embracing her tightly. Haru tells Ryu how he found her, and he realizes that the creeping presence he felt around him was actually Haru. He then tells her that he thought he was losing his mind when he felt a presence that would always creep around outside of his windows when he was asleep, also feeling that Yauko is by his side when something like this happened. And she chuckles, saying that he did notice her. Suddenly, Ryu grabs Haru by her neck and aggressively asks her who she is and why she has the same face as Yauko. Ryu presses Haru's throat aggressively and nearly suffocates her, until she calls out his name, and this reminds him of Yauko, which makes him let her go. Meanwhile, Yu is dreaming of his mother when he is woken up by Chiyo. He looks at the clock and realizes that he overslept, and she tells him that it would have been a shame to wake him up as he was sound asleep with a cute face. He then smells the aroma of miso soup, and apologizes to her that he didn't wake up on time to have breakfast even though she went out of the way to prepare breakfast for him, but she says that it's okay and he doesn't have to worry about it. She then tells him that he should enjoy his sleep more as the breeze outside feels great before jumping on top of him and cuddling with him, and he tries to free himself from her grip and pick up the ringing phone. He then picks up the phone while Chiyo follows him. He answers the phone and tells the caller that he is speaking from the Hasanuma residence. Chiyo tries to understand what the person on the phone is saying while Yu suddenly seems shocked to hear the news about his uncle. Ryu is discharged from the hospital and he comes back home. Haru prepares a feastful dinner and tells Ryu that they are celebrating his discharge from the hospital, and so she puts all of her effort into preparing the dishes for him, while Yu helps his uncle come inside. He refuses to eat the food, saying that he is fine, but Haru tells him that he cannot have medicines on an empty stomach, and tells him to get something into his belly. Later, when he sees Chiyo, Ryu realizes that he succeeded in summoning the demon and begs her to grant his wish, promising that he will do whatever she wants in exchange. But she tells him that she cannot do it as she is now Yu's older sister. He then heads to bed and says that he is going to sleep, but suddenly feels dizzy and Haru holds his arm to support him, but he gets away from her. Chiyo notices the tension between them and Haru says that everything is okay and Yu are adorable creatures. After Ryu sleeps, Yu goes to sit down with Chiyo and tells her that his uncle was finally able to sleep. He then asks her that if she had already met his uncle before, it means she already granted his wish, and she says perhaps. He then apologizes for asking such a question from her, but she puts her hand on his and says that no matter what had happened in the past, she feels that she was destined to meet him. She then asks him what he would have done if someone else had told him that she would be his older sister, and he says that he too feels that she is the only older sister for him. The two then laugh together while Ryu looks at them from a distance. Ryu wakes up early and starts to get ready to go somewhere, and Yu tells him that he shouldn't start moving so much yet as he is still very ill. But he tells him that he is just going to the graveyard, and Yu realizes that it is his parents' death anniversary. They all go to the Hasanuma family tomb and pay their respects at the graves. Ryu then tells Yu that his mother and father were just like the sun, and it never changed even after they left home, as they were still connected to the family despite being away, and nobody could expect their deaths. But when he saw Yu's eyes filled with fear, he was forced to realize that they are dead. And he says that he should have been the one to die, as this would not change anything or anyone. On the way back, Haru says that it is already the hottest hour of the day, and asks the other if they want to eat something cool. She then suddenly grabs Yu's hand and tells him to come with her for shopping. Chiyo angrily stops them and tells Haru that she wants strawberry shaved ice, and Ryu says that he wants a chocolate cookie ice cream, and she promises to find it for him no matter what. Later, while walking to the market, Haru asks Yu if he is angry at her as she has been accused of stealing his mother's face and having nothing real in her body, and he says that he is not. She then tells him that she had the feeling they had met before since the day she saw him at the hospital, and although she has very faint memories of her mother, she thinks that she talked and laughed like him. She later tells him that according to a religious text, women are the root of all evil, and when the time comes for the goddess to choose between the world or him, she will destroy the world, and says that she wonders if he would be able to stay normal after seeing Chiyo's true form. But he says that she was the one who told him that gods and demons has no sense of morality. Meanwhile, Ryu is sitting alone when Chiyo comes to him and gives him a drink, telling him to go and sit in his room as sitting outside is harmful. She then turns to go back when he asks her if she would have been able to bring back someone from the dead if his wish was granted, and she says she wouldn't. Just then, Haru and Yu come back home with some ice cream. Ryu wakes up in his cellar in the storehouse and realizes that he is back where he started some time ago. And it is not worth stressing over because his wish can't be granted as he was fundamentally mistaken with all the things he had done. Meanwhile, Haru asks Chiyo for more ice cream, but she tells her that she can only have one per day as they will run out of them. Chiyo then notices that Yu seems worried and asks him what's wrong, and he tells her that now that he thinks about it, it seems strange that she and Haru are beings who are demons, or rather goddesses, and yet they are living an ordinary life with him like an ordinary family. Haru tells him that beings like her live for eternities and have nothing to do in their long lifespans, and interesting things rarely happen to them. Chiyo then spots a cat in the distance and runs after it, telling it to wait as she wants to touch it, but it gets scared and tries to run away, when Haru also comes towards it, saying that she wants to violently massage a furball. The two girls chase the cat, later noticing that the laundry has fallen off the stands and they will have to wash it all again. They keep chasing the cat and it hides in a small hole. Chiyo uses her feelers to catch it and bring it out of its hiding place, while Yu tries to stop her. Just as they manage to catch the cat, Ryu appears and asks them what they are doing, and Haru and Chiyo suddenly start laughing. Haru and Chiyo go through a fashion catalog and Haru tells her that with her huge breasts, the cute outfits will make her look fat, but she says that the outfits are cute and no matter who wears them they will still be cute. Haru says that no matter what the era is, looks have always been a problem, and Chiyo says that they are both clueless about outfits as she also always wears the same outfit every day, and she says that she wears a uniform, suggesting that she tries wearing the same outfit as her. Chiyo then gets dressed like Haru and Haru says that it almost looks illegal. Some time later, Ryu comes to them and tells them to be quiet a little as he is trying to write, and Haru tells him to look at her lovely 7-form kabuki dance, showing him some cute outfits and asking what he thinks about them, saying that since she knows they good they look on her, she would like to hear how cute she is, and he says that she is undoubtedly the most beautiful woman in the world, telling her to stop asking about things she already knows. Thinking to himself that she has the Yaoko's face. After hearing this compliment coming from Ryu, Haru is shocked and her breathing stops for a moment, and Yu asks if it is a good thing, while Ryu finds them all annoying. Ryu and Haru go to the market together, and she tells Yu to look forward to his gift. Meanwhile, Yu wonders why his uncle tried to resurrect his mother and why Haru took her face. Just then, Chiyo takes him in her arms and swings him around, happy that she is now finally alone with him, and she says that they can do all the chores later. Yu realizes that he's seeing Chiyo happy after a very long time as she is always tense around Ryu and Haru, ready to take any actions. She makes him a drink and the two enjoy it before she reads a book to him while he sits in her lap. He makes him sit between her legs and says that she loves sitting like this, and starts to read the book, telling Yu the story of Izanami and Izanagi, who were a couple and gave birth to many other deities. But Izanami got burnt to death after the birth of the god of fire. Izanagi went to see her on the island of the dead. Yomi, not being able to resist the urge to see her, Izanami had already eaten the food of the underworld and told Izanagi that she can't return with him to his world, but later wants to go herself and decides to talk to the god of the underworld. She made him promise to not look at her body, but he broke it as he lost his patience. She suddenly stops reading after the part where Izanagi sees the completely different figure of his wife, and Yu asks her what happened, but she closes the book, saying that it's nothing. Yu goes to the kitchen garden with his uncle, and he teaches Yu that he has to leave the tomatoes in clusters of 4 or 5 and then cut the little ones first, while thin suckers have to be regularly pruned too, and all these things have to be done on a clear day. Meanwhile, Chiyo and Haru examine a spot on the ground that is different and is not covered in grass, and Haru suggests it is a mole hole, and tells her that moles are mammals that live underground. Chiyo says that it may pop out if they stay there, and Haru asks Ryu if he has ever seen one. He tells her that moles never show themselves, and the only time he saw one was when he found it dead in a trap. Chiyo sits near the hole, saying that she wants to see a mole, regardless of whether she sees it dead or alive. Ryu continues to teach Yu how and when to plant new tomatoes, saying that he can grow green onions along them, while nightshade should not be grown in the same place for over 3 years, and he should leave the fields to recover and allow weeds to grow once every few years, as the soil is a living organism as well. Ryu tells him that if he keeps repeating the process, the field will bear fruit every year. Yu suddenly remembers that Chiyo fulfilled his wish in exchange for the thing that he treasures the most, thinking that the field might not bear fruit the next year. Meanwhile, Chiyo is still waiting for the mole to come out and uses her power to vibrate the earth until she sees a mole. Chiyo accidentally tears Yu's pants while playing with him, and Haru later tells him that they can be fixed and she can mend it, asking him to take them off, but Chiyo says that she will take responsibility and fix his pants herself. She finds the sewing kit and looks at it, confused about what to do. Later taking scissors to fix the pants, Yu stops her. Haru then teaches her how to mend the cloth with needles and thread, while Yu decides to make some tea. Chiyo asks Haru if she had to learn how to make treats and sew clothes to survive, and she says that she has simply lived for a long time, just like she has. Yu then comes to them with some tea and asks them what they are talking about, and Haru says that they are just having a demon's talk, but Chiyo tells him not to take anything that Haru says seriously. Suddenly, Chiyo feels a prickly sensation in her legs and tells Yu that her legs are acting strange, and he tells her that her legs might be numb, and she tells him to rub her legs to make them normal again. Yu hesitantly starts rubbing Chiyo's legs, but later says that his hands are making her legs prickly too. Haru then says that they are intimate siblings and teases them. She then gives the two a doll of themselves, telling them that she wants them to be happy, saying that she has pure intentions and is not being sarcastic or anything. Yu is woken up in the middle of the night by strange noises and thinks that it might be the mice again. However, he hears a voice and hides in his sheets, thinking that it is a ghost, and prays that the night turns into morning. Just then, Chiyo comes to check on him and sees him trembling. She asks him if he is okay, and he tells her about the voices he heard from the ceiling, and she comforts him by embracing him. She then takes him outside with her and carries him to the roof of the voice, where Haru is already sitting and listening to something on her headphones. Chiyo and Yu then come and sit next to her, and Chiyo tells her that her noises have been disturbing Yu and he couldn't sleep, and she tells them that she's been listening to the radio. Yu then asks her if she always comes to the roof when she disappears during the night, and she agrees. She then tells Yu that when Ryu is sleeping and is in the land of dreams, various beings creep around, and she stays up to look out. Yu then asks what she means by various beings, and she points to the distance. They look where she is pointing and see a weird monstrous creatures with many eyes approaching. But Chiyo says that her effort is unnecessary as nothing can pass the threshold as long as she is there. But Haru says that she stays up just in case, as some creature might come who does not fear an evil goddess like her, and she will only be protecting Yu at times like that. Haru then gives Chiyo and Yu some cookies she made, and tells them that they taste wonderful as she made them. A flashback shows the time when Ryu was sick during summers and his brother had to go out with the kids, and so he asked Yauko to look over him while he was gone. He tells Ryu to be careful as catching a cold in summer can be scary, and Ryu says that he will. As the kids and Ryu's brother leave, Yauko goes to Ryu and tells him that he doesn't have to pretend to have a cold anymore and takes his mask off. He then apologizes to her for holding her back from going to the beach as she was looking out for him, but she says that she is not interested in the ocean anyway and wanted to read some books instead, and he thanks her. She then says that she was also interested in going to the ocean, as they could have a barbecue and eat shaved ice and yakisoba while enjoying the fireworks and playing around with a beach ball, saying that she wants to try wearing one of the cute swimsuits. She then gets sad, wondering why her body is in such a poor condition and if she'll ever be able to go to the ocean again. Later, she prepares a bento and tells Ryu that they can eat it in the garden together, while she will bring an inflatable pool and they can soak their legs in it, and it would be their very own ocean trip. Ryu then fills up the pool with water when Yauko comes to him with the bento, dressed in a swimsuit. They soak their legs in the pool while eating the food she made, and Ryu finds it delicious. Ryu enjoys the day with her, hoping that it never ends, but Yauko suddenly feels sick. A fluid comes out of her mouth and she asks for her pouch of medicines. He then brings her the medicines and tells her to come inside, and she starts crying and apologizes to him for being a burden as she relies on other people for helping her with so many things and consumes their time and money, also causing troubles to them that wouldn't exist if she was healthy, saying that they will all be better without her. But Ryu tells her that none of what she is saying is true, and she worries along them when they are in pain, enjoys when they are enjoying, and feels all of the emotions with them, and even now is crying out of consideration for them, and she has never been considered a bother by him or anybody else. Ryu remembers his time with Yauko as he watches Chiyo, Yu, and Haru play in an inflatable pool in the garden, and walks away sadly, which is noticed by Haru. Ryu notices Haru following and says that he had told her to not do so, but she says that she can be very useful for times when he is about to be attacked. She then transforms into her real form as a group of creatures approaches Ryu, and tells him that in his desperate times, he made a mistake and recklessly opened each and every door he could find to get what he desired, which is why his fragrant smell drifts to distances and beasts that are striving from their primal instincts come after him, and despite all that, he has still not given up on his desire, and changes back into her human form. She then asks him if he is leaving, and he says that it has nothing to do with her, and she says that she knows she is not the one he wishes for as she is just an imposter, and asks why she is not allowed to go with him. She then tells him that he can just keep her as his pet dog, saying that she is very helpful, as she can help him as a watchdog, swing her talons and fangs according to his command, and will be satisfied if only sometimes he shows her a little care. And she only wants him to show her his knowledge and experiences, and she wants to explore a bigger world together with him. When he hears these words, he remembers the time when Yauko told him that she wants to explore a bigger world outside of the house, school, or hospital. He stares at Haru in shock and calls her Yauko. Chiyo and Yu are out when it starts to rain, and Chiyo becomes sad that she will have to do the laundry again as it begins to rain even after the forecast said that it won't rain. Yu then tells her that they wait under the bus stop's shade until the rain passes, and she sits close to him. He suddenly sneezes and she says that he might catch a cold this way, and gives him her shawl, but he takes it and puts it on her lap, saying that he is fine but she is the one who must be cold after feeling her hand being very cold. but she says that such things cannot happen to her body. He also says that he won't catch a cold just because he got a little wet, but she forces him to wear the shawl, later sharing it. She then tells him that it is her duty to worry about him and stay committed to him as she is his older sister. Yu wonders about the time when all this would be over and Chiyo won't be his sister anymore, thinking what her life would be like after she is no longer his older sister, and if she would return to normal and live as a demon or goddess for a long time. The two then sit there and watch the rain, and Chiyo says that although rain makes a lot of sounds, it is still quiet and mysterious, and feels as if the time is slowly coming to a halt, and she knows how warm Yu is after getting soaked by the rain. She then puts her head against his, saying that although they will be late for making dinner, it is still okay for them to stay like this for a little longer, and he agrees. Haru decides to take some pictures and tells Ryu to get closer to the others and Yu to smile. And Ryu says that there is no need for doing such things, and she says that he doesn't have to decide that. She then presses the timer and runs towards the group to join them for the picture. Later, Haru packs the bags and Yu asks her if she missed anything, and she says that if she has, the worst outcome would be that she would have to come back to get it. Ryu then comes to Yu and gives him a notebook in which he has written down the contacts of their relatives, guidelines for making ridges in the fields, and a list of items stored in the warehouse, and tells him that he noted all of these things down so that Yu can avoid any kind of trouble, telling him that he will not be hearing from him anymore and he and Chiyo can live freely and he will do the same. Yu thanks Ryu for being so kind before Haru tells him to let her write something in the notebook, and Yu tells her to not fool around. Looking at the two, Chiyo tells Ryu that Haru is truly the image of his cousin, and he agrees. He tells her to protect Yu, saying that he is the living proof of his brother and Yako, whose lives were more important than his. Meanwhile, Haru gives some of her cookies to Yu and says that she will bestow a prophecy on him as a demon, and tells him that even after being a weak and puny creature like other humans, he is still feeble and mysterious, which is why he may be able to redefine the rules. Haru and Ryu then leave, and Chiyo feels relieved to see things settling after a long time. She then tells Yu that they need to go and rewrite all the candy recipes that Haru wrote down for him. Meanwhile, Haru asks Ryu where they should go first, and he tells her to stop addressing him using his name. She then tells him that this is the first step of their journey together, and as his hound, she will protect and watch over him until the very end, no matter where they go and how many times it takes. Yu wakes up from a weird dream in which he sees himself getting bullied for being adopted and not having a family, and finds Chiyo hovering over him, and she tells him that she thought he might be able to sleep for a little longer while she changes his clothes in his sleep, and she has already prepared the bento and now only thing that is left to do is to go out. The two later go out and Chiyo says that the weather outside is hot and the quietness makes it seem like the world hasn't started yet, and Yu tells her that they can see the sunrise if they reach the park within half an hour, and Chiyo is excited to share a bento with Yu while watching the morning sun. The two walk towards the park and reach their destination, and Yu remembers that he came to that place before with his parents when he was little. He tells Chiyo that they brought a bento that his mother made and his father helped him climb up the steps, and it was springtime and tons of sakura blossoms flustered around them. He then wonders why he doesn't remember the moment, and Chiyo uses her magic to make him remember the time exactly like it was, saying that she will grant every wish of him. She says that she will make the flowers blossom out of season, make the sun come out even in the middle of the night, and would not hesitate to dissecate a large river or turn a town into a forest. And if he wishes for it, she will produce dreams of his memories if he misses them and become anyone from his family for him if he desires. She embraces him and tells him to not cry as long as she's here, and he cries in her arms, calling her his older sister.